Hi, 8-Day Greedo. So, back before Solo came out, I was trying to introduce my girlfriend to Star Wars for the first time, and it really wasn't going great. I made the mistake of starting her off with Rogue One, and I could tell she just kind of thought Star Wars was, like, okay. But when we went to see Solo, she just completely fell in love with L3, like, loved her. When she walked out of Solo, I remember she said, "That was really fun. That was my favorite Star Wars so far." My favorite part was the droid with the thick thighs.
Hello, and welcome back to Star Wars Minute. It's the daily podcast where we analyze, scrutinize, and proselytize these Star Wars movies 1 minute at a time. I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.com.
I'm Alex Robinson from AlexRobinson.fun.
And I'm Chris Radtke, shock jock on the #1 radio station in Star Wars City.
Radtke in the morning.
Ooh, yeah.
I would love to.
Yeah, welcome back, Chris. Thanks for closing out the week with us.
Hey, man, I could be here all week. That's the thing I look forward to each year. Yeah. Here I am. None of this 4 days a week.
Yeah,
like that last guy.
The worst Beatles song. 4 days a week.
4 days a week. It's like half as good as 8 days a week.
4 days a week. Parentheses like that last guy. By the Beatles.
By the Beatles.
Long show.
Yeah, we're not talking about the Beatles. We're talking about minute 60 of Solo, a Star Wars party. We're an hour in.
60 minutes?
60 minutes.
Hey, call me the Morley Schaefer of Morley Schaefer. That's Morley Safer and Paul Schaefer
combined
together.
I think it would go a little bit like this. No. Yes, all this and Andy Rooney in minute 60 of Star Wars, a Solo story. It starts with Lando saying he'll do this for 40%.
Oh, did anyone have 40% on their card? Did we do that now? Or
I did not. I had 25%.
Oh, I said he was willing to believe a man can fly.
Oh,
that was he was into it. So he was willing to believe a man can fly.
I said he was willing to make whoopee.
Whoopee. It's Lando. That's very likely also.
That is true.
Yeah.
And I had 25%.
25%.
You had a bunch of Wookiees.
Chris wins.
There you go.
25%.
25%.
I had 25%.
But he's willing to do it for 40. Mm-hmm. So, the minute ends with Lando telling L3 to let go. Let it go.
Let it go.
Lando, let it go. Calrissian is what they call him.
Let go.
So the minute starts off with Lando turns to Beckett and is now negotiating with Beckett. But why is he doing this? Like he's talking to Kira, who he knows is second in command to Dryden Voss. Why does he break away from her and suddenly start haggling with?
Because Beckett has the rep, dude.
Beckett's more serious. I mean,
Beckett killed Aurora Singh.
Killed Aurora Singh. Yeah.
Yeah. Beckett's like Dengar, man. He's the guy with the rep.
The man with the truck.
Right. Dengar's dump truck. Man. So then they get, he agrees to do it, and then they walk off towards the commotion. He agrees to do it, and they say, no, this is unacceptable, and they walk off towards the commotion. And this is how we meet L3. L337, who I believe we did walk by her briefly in one of the earlier minutes, but doesn't count. Yeah. This is where we get introduced to her.
So L337.
Yes.
My understanding is she's
a robot.
There's the only Star Wars character that's hated more than her is Rey by a certain collection of Star Wars fans.
I'm sure there are a number of female characters that it spreads around between a couple of Rose Tico.
People don't like Rose Tico. They don't like Rey. They don't like
Rose Tico, Rey.
I wonder what all these characters have in common.
How could you not love L3? L3 is I think L3 is the best thing in this damn movie.
I like her, but I could see how it does come across as like a satire on the current political climate. You know what I mean? So I don't know. To me, I feel like that's what it seems like. It seems very much like, oh, it's like having a women. You're like, imagine if Star Wars, the original one, had like a women's liber in it. It feels like that. Like it's very much of its time to me. That's the only. And I also think the movie
because today we're fighting for robot rights. Well, we're not there. We're about 15, 20 years away from that.
No, but I'm just saying this is like she's basically like a robot stereotype of like a social justice warrior. She's like meddling, telling these robots, oh, you should do, she's agitating them and getting them all worked up. And I think it I don't know. To me,
is she wrong?
No. I think, but also I think one of the worst aspects of the movie is that it totally undermines everything she's saying. Like it totally treats it as like a joke. So that's why I can't tell if the movie is like, oh, look at these idiots. They're gonna get their comeuppance, or whether it's on her side. It's weird.
No, I mean I agree with you that it's definitely trying to take a page out of today's headlines, but I thought the character was great, and I thought
I agree.
Like
but
when you
see how people who don't like that would not like that.
Yeah, no, I could see why people don't like that. Same people don't like that. I mean, but I would also say that as the show goes on, she's the one character beside Lando who is really true to her core throughout. And I think that there is, like, as the show progresses and then what she does on Kessel and like the leading to her brain being put into the Millennium Falcon. I don't want to jump ahead too much for those that haven't seen it yet, but I thought she was a nuanced character. And I also love her robot thighs. She's got big chunky thighs where she walks, and she looks kind of like a mix of the Knights of the Old Republic droids, and she's kind of got this head. I mean,
are these the best robot thighs that we've ever seen?
Let's think about some robot thighs. There's those. There's ATSTs.
You call those thighs? You call those robots?
No, they're chicken thighs.
Chicken walkers.
I think 3PO's got nice thighs because he has all the decorative Art Deco kind of stuff.
Yeah, and 3PO has really very shapely thighs too.
Yeah. 2-1B, not so much. They're like Popete thighs.
No, he's got no ass. 2-1B. And the same with IG-88 and IG-11.
Right.
Any of the
very
IG
much
lines.
just like
right.
Like my 7th grade math teacher. There's no bottom. You've got who else do we have thigh-wise? Droidecas, not much thighs going on there. Battle droids aren't doing thighs.
I'm sure we're all forgetting one that.
Chopper's got great thighs. I love me Chopper.
I heard
I
heard a good Chopper theory, which made me like him more, and I'm willing.
Oh, by the way, I do want to point out that even more so than R2 and 3PO, Chopper is my favorite Star Wars droid.
Wow.
There is no better droid in all of Star Wars than my man Chop.
I was saying it on the weekend edition the other day because this is after I watched the pilot essentially of the Rebels, and I was like, everybody was complaining so much about Chopper, and I was like, everybody had all this negative stuff to say, and I watched it. I was like, oh, he's kind of cool. Like, I like what he is at least so far.
Chopper is fantastic.
I was worried he was going to be more annoying, like he was going to be all talky and stuff, but so far I'm liking
Chopper
him.
is hysterical, right? Chopper's funny.
He's high dramatic.
My wife just walked in while I'm talking about Chopper, and she's got she just lost years of her life. She loves Chopper.
The theory I heard, which made me like him more, was that he is drunk in every scene. And I was like,
he is wasted.
That would make it
all the time.
Yeah, that would make me.
He's the closest we're going to get to Bender.
Okay.
In
Pete,
Star
if
Wars.
you do your Rebels rewatch, I will join you on your rewatch.
All right.
So
you've never watched it, so this is the Rebels watch.
I've watched about half
Rebels
of it.
watch. For Alex, it's mostly a rewatch, right?
All right. Well, if any of you clowns need a weekend edition fill-in to talk about Rebels, let me know.
Well, I will text both of you whenever I watch an episode. So
okay,
do it. It's so good. So good.
I see that complaint about. That's my complaint too about L3 is I do like her a lot, but I also feel like sometimes it comes off as parody and it undermines kind of what I think if they played it as a legitimate thing because it's a thing that we've talked about. Like droids, are droids sentient? How are they treated? They're not treated that well by a lot of people. Like if they had stuck with that as a legitimate plot thing, and not don't go too deep into it, but it does seem, especially like now, it's played as kind of like for laughs almost, and it's I don't know. It's
especially weird after seeing didn't Star Trek Next Generation kind of tackle this like 30 years ago? Like, didn't they kind of
talk about stupid data for Christ's sakes?
I'm just saying, like, we've seen a lot of
I will have more Star Trek talk later in the episode, so get ready.
All right, well, moving on then.
Well, moving on.
Do you
one of the things?
Go ahead.
One of the things that she's yelling to this droid is, "You've been neuro-washed."
Yeah.
Like, don't do what they're telling you. That you've been neuro-washed.
Yeah.
Which is that like because droids don't have brains, they have like a neuro.
Yeah, it's like you're being gaslighted.
Well, but is she say like is that like the more droid centric term
jargon
for brainwashing? Like, so like, because droids don't really have brains, you can't say brainwash because I don't have a brain. But like, if they do have, like,
it's a little bit like that. And so in one of the things that you learn in season 3 of Rebels is a neurowash. It's not quite like a brainwashing. It's more like a colonic for droids.
Okay.
So it's not like you've been neurowashed. Once you have a colonic, you feel better. You feel kind of emptied out, and you feel pretty good. A neurowash is similar, where it's not necessarily like it's your bowels that are being cleaned out. It's all of the data that's up. There's this episode in Rebels. I thought
you told us not to bring up data.
No, I'm talking about data, not data. So
Alice Cooper.
Yes. So welcome to my nightmare. There's an episode in Rebels. It's actually like a 3-part episode in Rebels where it's all about neurowashing and kind of the relief it provides for droids.
So she's basically saying, like, you had a colonic. Like, why is she telling, if this is a good thing, why is she telling him it? It just seems to me like they're just using it as a stand-in for brainwashing.
Clearly, this is a Lord and Miller issue that wasn't resolved.
Well, I don't know, because this is specifically the Clint Howard part of this, so I think maybe it was an add-on by Ron Howard.
I don't...
No. Clint Howard was originally cast in the film, and the way that Ron Howard got the job is because Lord and Miller were fired, and Kathleen Kennedy's on set, and she's like, are we going to call JJ? And Clint's like, hey, I know a guy.
My brother's there.
And she's like, George? She's like, no, not George. I got my brother, Ronnie. And that's how it
Little Ronnie Howard.
He's like, I got my brother to direct. And then like Mike Howard shows up the next day.
Or what's his name?
Chuck
Cunningham
shows up. Chuck Cunningham. I knew where you were going. Clint Howard shows up.
Yes.
I got the Clint Howard minute.
You did.
It's as if I requested that.
It's like finding the baby in the king cake. You did it.
I did it. I got Clint Howard with his great hair. Is this the best Clint Howard hair we've seen since?
What are some of your other favorite Clint Howard roles? Besides Cheers, let's take Cheers as a given. Besides
Cheers. Venom 2. I would say my favorite Clint Howard role is probably True Detectives, opposite Woody Harrelson. True Detective Season 1 of True Detectives with Woody Harrelson and Clint Howard.
True Detectives.
Two detectives.
Cooler, man. Two detectives.
I will have to go to the wrong show, and I will say his appearance in Star Trek, the original series, is probably my favorite. Clint Howard.
That's how I was going to bring it back. Baylock.
Mm-hmm. Baylock.
Now, I do a Star Trek show on the side, so wrong show.
Oh, Jesus.
But it got me thinking. I'm like, is Clint Howard the only actor who was in Star Trek, the original series, and also in a Star Wars movie?
No.
Wow, he's so confident.
No.
Who else?
You got General Veers.
He was not in Star Trek, the original series?
Sure he was.
No.
He was the captain.
He's Pike.
No.
He's not part of the Pikes.
He's the Pike.
He's with the Pike Syndicate, but he's not in the No, here's what I came up with.
Terry Garr?
There are two other actors who are in Star Trek, the original series, and a Star Wars movie.
Terry Garr should have played Mon Mothma. I'll die on that hill.
All right.
Ooh, that's a foxy Mon Mothma.
Aren't they all? Felix Silla.
Oh, he tricked us.
He's the little person actor who played a Telosian in The Cage and subsequently in The Menagerie.
He was the Deep Roy of the 60s and 70s.
Right. The Deep Roy of his day. He also
played go ahead.
He also played a glider, the Ewok on the hang glider.
Oh, that's a pretty standout one.
Yeah, both notable things where you're like, oh yeah, when I say who they are.
In other pop culture, he also played Cousin It in the original Addams Family show, and of course, DB Twiki the robot in Buck Rogers.
Yeah.
Oh, good Christ.
He was the physical Twiki.
Yeah.
You guys are taking this podcast seriously after all these years.
And in a Star Trek original series episode called The Empath, which is notably one of the worst. Mm-hmm. It's like a weird black box theater experiment. When they first arrive on the planet, they see some of the scientists that are supposed to be in the station are kind of frozen in suspended animation tubes. One of those scientists is named Dr. Link or Dr. Linky.
Dr. Linky.
Dr. Linky. It's like a
Sausage King.
Yeah, like a 1999
it's like
web
he's the
tool.
guy that had that problem in the opening of Rushmore.
Right. My what is it? My mentor, Dr. Leakey at MIT. But he was played by an actor named Jason Wingreen, who you guys may know was the original voice of Boba Fett and no longer included in this movie.
Sir, not appearing in this film.
Exactly. So
Clint Howard.
Is
entering a pantheon of greats.
He is the only person who you see his face in both roles.
Has he appeared in the MCU?
That's amazing.
Has he appeared in the MCU at all?
No, but that's
Clint
not.
Howard?
That's don't. It's not the same thing.
I'm just saying, I could see him being in a small part in the MCU.
No, but Star Wars, Star Trek,
he'd be the puppet master. He should totally be the puppet master.
But there's no like Star Wars is better than MCU. It's Star Wars versus Star Trek. And of all of the humans to ever live,
he was the most
Clint Howard. Clint Howard is the guy that have that title is that's amazing. Yeah. That's the best guy. It's either Clint Howard or Richard Kind should have that.
I would love it if Richard Kind were in both of these somehow.
Me too.
But Solo here, the character that he plays here in Solo: A Star Wars Story.
What's his name?
I do not like this part.
You don't? Oh, you don't like it?
His name is Ralakili.
Ralakili.
Oh. Do you feel that it's kind of because it's got the same amount of syllables and ends in I?
It's like Malakili. They're just like Ralakili. I don't know. It sounds.
Well, I had a no prize theory about that.
Okay.
The theory is that Malakili and similarly Ralakili is not their given name. They weren't born with those names. It's probably like a foreign language that translates roughly into like keeper.
Oh. Right.
So it's something like
right. So Malakili is a monster keeper, and Ralakipi is a robot keeper.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense.
That was my no prize theory.
All right.
Thank you. Do I get a no prize? Are you going to send it to me?
I will. I'll mail it to you.
You got no prize.
It's my thing that says "Believe a Man Can Fly."
Right. So,
all right. I'll buy it for now.
Yeah.
Malakili and Robakili.
Robokili.
Robo-Keely is when
Monster Keely and Robot Keely.
It's one of the later Louis Prima things where he replaced his wife with an android.
It's like the Futurama version of Louis Prima.
So what's the next Keely? So was there like a Nexu Keely who was Catakili?
Catakili.
I wonder if the what's the name of that arena? Dothraki.
The guy
arena?
that feeds the Dianoga, was he the Dianoga Keely?
Or Dalakili?
That's interesting that you think someone was responsible for feeding the Dianoga. It's like someone going,
just throw more garbage in the pit.
Feed those rats downstairs, will you? They ain't gonna feed themselves.
Go out and feed the raccoons.
So, this is something kind of funny. He throws a hand at who did he throw it at? L3, like a C3PO hand.
Yeah.
And it reminded me.
Yeah, you want robot rights?
Here's a robot, right? And a robot left.
Talk to the hand. But it reminded me that this is the first and currently only Star Wars movie to not feature R2-D2 and C3PO.
That's true.
So this is almost like a little cameo through C-3PO's disembodied hand shows
just
up.
His hand, solo.
Because it's just his hand, solo.
Wait, is that true? This is the only movie that doesn't have those two in it?
Like they squeaked in Rogue One with that little kind of cameo, and then they were obviously in Last Jedi.
They're in Rise of the Jedi? Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah,
sure.
They're in that?
Yeah, 3PO has like a big part in it. It's like his shining moment.
One of the best parts of that movie.
Yeah.
I have no recollection of any of that movie.
He turns into a Sith and his eyes turn all red.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm not coming on.
Right.
And I'm not going to do the credits. I'm not doing any of it. I'm done. This is it.
So this is your last appearance on Star Wars Minute right now.
Wow.
This is
my last appearance.
Fateful moment.
Yeah.
This is it. I'm not coming back until there's another movie. I'll come back for the Mando movie.
So after he throws the hand, Raleigh Keeley says, "Stay away from him. He's never had it so good." Did he know like what circumstance was this robot being in a horribly abusive relationship? Of like why is this robot never had it so good?
Because he was a Roomba before.
Right.
And all he did was vacuum.
He was a Wookiee Roomba. There's just so much shedding.
He was Mala's Roomba.
Mala's Roomba.
The bounty hunter?
Oh my God, a Wookiee Roomba. That's a mess.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know. Well, I don't know. I don't know how Roombas work, but since Wookiees have long hair, I imagine that wouldn't work because the hair would just wind up getting.
Yeah, it would get wrapped.
It would work for like a
no.
a muff tack.
Wookiee Roombas are about the size of like a Volkswagen,
like a riding mower.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they go up trees.
Right.
Roomba
and flutter copters or whatever the hell those things are.
I don't want to talk about that.
Drowsy tree goats. That's Endor.
I think I still have a domain name from episode 3 jokes about the Wookiee. Anyway,
we peaked at that point. That was 15 years ago today.
Gosh, were we ever so young?
No.
So then we get into what I think is, I feel like it's the dirtiest joke maybe in all of Star Wars, where Raleigh Keeley says, "I'm gonna flip your switch," and she says, "Good luck finding it." I don't know why. To me, that seems like maybe I'm just thinking of her doing it with Lando, but I don't know. It just seemed like a. Am I wrong in that?
That was
cut all this out
if
I'm totally being. But anyway, it surprised me.
I did not pick up on that at all.
You didn't think of it that way?
I'm notoriously.
That was. I will guarantee you that Fleabag wrote that.
I was going to say because that seems like such a total Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Maybe that's why I went there because that's totally her potty mouth sense of humor,
and that's what it was meant.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway,
good luck finding the switch.
It's a strange thing to say to someone as a threat. I'm gonna flip your switch. You know what I mean? It's like a weird,
good luck finding it.
When you're talking to a robot,
Yeah, or I'm supposed to I'm gonna shut you down, or I don't know.
I'm gonna shut down your prostate.
So yeah.
Speaking of flipping switches,
yes,
I heard that Chris has a Sabak story.
I do.
That's right.
I've been waiting to tell you guys the story. I can't believe I haven't told you the story. And I've known you guys for probably most of my life.
Long time. Feels like it.
A long time. Okay. So on this week, I've talked about high school quite a bit. I talked about our gambling in high school. We were doing the magic dollars and stealing the change and then using barter. And the progression of that, by the time the summer roll around, our gambling addiction had gotten so fierce and so crazy that we were gambling for, like, we would find anything to bet on. And at this time, West End Games was putting out the Star Wars role-playing game. Mm-hmm. Those of you who are not born yet, or those of you who are unaware of this, the Star Wars role-playing game from the 90s, early 90s, is the blueprint for all of the EU. And a lot of the that's going on today in the expanded universe comes from this role-playing game and all of the rule books and everything. And me and my friends, because we were so Star Wars deprived in the early 90s, we pored over these books constantly.
Sure.
And one of the first modules, like a Keep on the Borderlands kind of module, was
good times.
I'm forgetting what it was called, but it was like Cloud City, Cloud City Rundown or something like that. And on the cover, it had the bounty hunters. The problem is it wasn't the bounty hunters in the book. It was all knockoff versions of the bounty hunters.
Oh, that's weird.
And this was the introduction of the fake Boba Fett Jodo cast. Jodo cast eventually shows up in the Masters of Terras Kasi video game. I'm sure he's in a comic book or two. It would be great if Jodo Cast shows up on The Mandalorian at some point, but Jodo Cast was a Boba Fett pretender. He had Mandalorian armor and he was kind of doing a Boba Fett thing. And the whole point of the module was you're on Cloud City and the bounty hunters are after you. And they're not really the bounty hunters, but the kind of bounty hunters and blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't matter because in the back of this module, it came with a set of sabacc cards and rules on how to play sabacc. And you'd punch out the cards. They were like the perforated cardboard, and you punch them out. And my dorky friends and I learned how to play sabacc. And we used to have like a Friday poker game where we would bet all of our barter materials. And we would play sabacc, and and then summer happened. Then we all went to college. So while we're in college, during spring break, my friend Luke, who you both have met before, Luke is my Star Wars friend. He's not related to, it's Luke irony that his name is Luke.
Luke is my Star Wars friend.
Luke is my Star Wars friend. What's prejudice? And what happens is Luke in his freshman year with his newfound friends in college, they go to a fancy Ivy League school where they're all wealthy. And so spring break happens and they're all decide to go down to Florida to check out the brand new Star Tours ride. Star Tours had just happened at this point. And I personally had never been to Star Tours. So Luke and his buddies, they go down to Star Tours. They go down to Disney. And his friends are kind of like Star Wars, but Luke is one of us. And every day they're down there, he starts the day off getting online for Star Tours. And he goes on Star Tours about like 100 times, as many times as he can. And he meets and he gets to know the staff who are working the Star Tours ride. And they start talking to him and they're like, "Hey, Luke's back. Hey, Luke. And they're like, and he's eating it up. He's like, "Hello, everybody." And one of the security guys explains to him that there are if I get the story right, there are 7 speeder bikes that were created for Return of the Jedi. 3 of them are in California. 3 of them are down here in Florida at Star Tours. And one of them was destroyed during filming. You see it blow up, right? He's like, "These 2 over here have been refurbished, but that one bolted up into that Ewok tree, that I happen to know is the actual speeder bike that Luke and Leia are riding on." And Luke is like, "Wow, that's the bike. That's the bike they're driving." So their days continue in Star Tours and at Disney, and he rides Star Tours a few more 100 times. Finally, that last day, he goes to his friends. He's like, "I need you guys to go on Star Tours with me, and I need you, while we're at this point, I need you to cause a distraction." make a ruckus, do something. You need to distract the security. So his friends take a seizure or do whatever it is that they do to draw the attention of the security, while Luke, and you guys know that Luke is a bit of a rapscallion. Luke.
That's his
Luke. Yeah. Luke sneaks behind the velvet rope, climbs up the Ewok tree, and yanks out the control panel on the speeder bike that Luke and Leia are riding. Why does he yank out the control panel? Because on that control panel is the center switch that jams comlinks. So we come back to our hometown after college. He sends me, an email or a letter at this time. In the 90s, email was not really a big thing at this point.
He sent somebody to
a
your
letter
house.
And saying like, hey, we need to talk about my trip to Star Tours. So we come home from whatever break it was, and I show up at my friend Luke's house, and he's like, you're my best pal in the world, and I want you to have something. And he tells me the story that I just told you all. So when he rips out the control panel, he's like, this is the center switch, and this is mine. I'm giving you, my friend, the left of center switch. So he hands me the left of center switch. He has the actual center switch. And these two nerds, we go on in our lives with these as our prized possessions. Fast forward to the summertime.
It's like your friendship bracelet. Like
it's our friendship bracelet. It's the half of a heart.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And we would carry it together, and we would do, and the times we would touch them together, like the tips of the center switches. And then it was one rainy summer evening, and we're waiting, we're looking for things to do, and we decide to dust off the old Sabak deck. And we're betting real money this time, dollars. And things are getting heated. And there's a whole table, and we're at Jimmy Fan's house.
Somebody's chewing their nails off.
Dude, there's a guy, Andrew Yee's off the side, like, and like it is getting wild, and the game is heated, and Sabak is throwing down, and everything is happening. It was just like what we witnessed all week, but in a Long Island living room as opposed to whatever that place is. So it reaches a point where everyone's folded, and it's just Luke versus I. And we both have pushed in all of our creds, and there's nothing left. And we don't have cars to bet. So we're holding our Sabak cards to ourselves.
Carge.
And Carge. And, Luke makes this outlandish bet. And I'm like, you're full of it. I know when your eye twitches and you do duck face, you're trying to put on a show. So that's when I said, I will see your bet, and I will raise you the center switch for the left of center switch. And the bet went down, and I won. He was bluffing, and we swapped. He has the left to center switch, and here it is on the YouTube channel.
Oh, I thought
if you go and watch Return of the Jedi right now and pause it, and look when Luke says center switch jams comlinks, you will see that this thing I hold in my hands, and I'm showing to you here in the camera, is the actual center switch from the Luke and Leia speeder bike from Return of the Jedi. And it's been in my possession since the early 90s.
Are you at all worried
it's not just going to jam comlinks?
Are you at all worried that they'll come looking for you?
No,
what happens when this guy comes looking for him?
So I finally went to Star Tours a couple of years ago, and I'm looking at the speeder bikes, and clearly they've been refurbed, and they're all things. So, you know what? If they're going to come for me, come and get it. If not, whatever. Right. They've already settled with Sabak.org. So, so bring it, and we'll figure out what the.
I thought you were going to say you went back there and then you put in a fake one in there so they wouldn't know it was gone.
But yeah, so yeah, this is the center switch, and
wow, that's quite a piece of Star Wars.
I'm surprised I never showed this to you guys.
I think I remember seeing Luke's. I don't think I ever saw yours. So
yeah, you saw Luke's, which is the left of center switch. The way you could tell it's the left of center switch because when he ripped out the control panel, there's still part of the bolt end of it, but this is a clean break. Here it is, the center switch.
Wow.
Jams comlinks.
Someday
Chris
that would be
Radtke.
like a holy relic.
Yeah, boy.
In a Star Wars church.
Suck it, Sansweet. So that's where we're at.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I looked up. It's odd that it's named the module. First module is Tatooine Manhunt, which has that Ralph McQuarrie painting of the bounty hunters on the cover.
The bounty hunters.
Inside,
they're on Cloud City,
Cast.
and it's called Tatooine Manhunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, or something like that.
Yeah.
And he got Sabak, and it's not the bounty hunters. It's all like, it's not Zuckuss, it's Ruckus, and Jodo Cast, and IG.
The main NPCs, Jodo Cast, bounty hunters, Adar Talon.
Dengar?
Parlan.
Parlan
would be boss.
is definitely for the love of money. Parlan is an acronym for, I can't.
Trod and Zardra.
That's Zuckuss and
Quist.
Orlog.
Quist is the pirate. Quist is the pirate.
Quist and Quake.
Right.
Quist and Quake.
Quist.
Now I'm hungry.
Delicious part of your breakfast.
That was all I had for minute 60.
The only thing I have is for Chris to tell us our last solo of the week.
Oh, yeah.
And this, I guess, theoretically is Chris's swan song on the show. So if there's anything else you want to say about Star Wars, speak now.
The last solo is a full length solo. It is the song is the solo, and that is that is the Cliffs of Dover off of Via Musicom by Eric. What the hell is his name? He's not Steve Vai. He's right now. There's a Gen X nerd on the corner. Like Eric, what?
Randy Rhodes.
Via Musicon.
Not
G.G. Allen.
It is Eric Johnson.
Eric Johnson.
So off the Via Musicom album, Cliffs of Dover is the name of the song.
I remember a guitar nerd talking about that at some point.
Wow.
And that is this last one that I'll leave you with. So please go listen to Cliffs of Dover by Eric Johnson. And it's just it's a 4-minute guitar solo. And I feel like that was the 4 minutes that we spoke about this week, plus one.
Do you could you assign solos to the other movies as well? Like what would be the solo for like
pick a minute and I'll tell you what the solo from it.
Not just one for the whole movie. Like if I said what's the thing
we got to break it down minute. That's it's implied in our mandate. We got to go minute by minute.
Pick a minute.
What about the minute where R2 is being carried into the sandcrawler by the Jawas?
Ooh,
I don't know what
it's hard to not think of that music though when that's
that is actually the it's the breakdown and the transition in Layla.
So, dun, dun, dun,
yes.
the keyboard part.
Yeah, it's the Goodfellas part where they're carrying the droids, and that's where that is coming. Give me another one.
I'm looking through your minutes that you were on for other.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
What about Space Hunters? Space Hunters.
What about Space Killers?
Yeah.
Oh, that's definitely that's the guitar solo from Horror of Yig by Gwar off of the Scumdogs of the Universe album.
All right. What's it called? The song?
Obviously. The Horror of Yig.
Yig. Y-I-G?
Y-G. No, Y-G.
Oh, Y-G. Oh, okay.
Off of Scumdogs of the Universe, Gwar is easily their
Let's see if I can throw you a curveball. What about the scene where Mace Windu and Yoda are walking down the hallway and they're talking about what's going to happen with Anakin and the Clone Wars?
Great one. That is actually the dueling guitar solos in Through the Fire and Flames by Dragon Force.
I like that because it's two people.
It's Herman Lee is Yoda and Sam Tatum is Mace Windu.
Yeah, Sam Jackson.
Perfect. But Mace Windu.
And one last one because we can't do it without talking about Blue Raspberry. What about what would be the guitar solo behind Have You Ever Heard?
Yeah, that's actually, it's funny you should say that, because that is the guitar solo from Blue Cheer's cover of Summertime Blues.
Wow,
so
you were
Blue Raspberry,
right.
Blue Cheer. I got it all, seriously, every minute of every Star Wars movie, I have mapped a guitar solo to.
I mean, you're really impressed by your knowledge of guitar solos.
Hey, man, I'm rock and roll.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm Donny Osmond.
Your short fuse. You're
purple socks.
Rakondo.
Well, thanks, Chris, for embarking on this project with us. Sorry we won't get to see you next year for Rise of Skywalker, but it's been fun. We're going to.
Yeah.
I mean,
hopefully there'll be another Star Wars movie someday.
I'm sure there will be. Maybe. Possibly.
Yeah, I know you guys are quitting after this next one, though.
Pete, can you do we've been joking about this whole week with Han Solo's memories, where he's like, that's why can you now edit in a montage of like the best of Chris Radtke, almost like.
I'm going to do you one better and say that let's make that a fan project. And
I like it.
Everybody cobble together your best of Chris Radtke audio montage, or if you want to do like a Ken Burns thing and have some photos going in and out, because we only have video for the last season. So
if you go to the Wikipedia,
an open invitation, Stoned Age Minute,
and
who's up?
Remember, you can find a list of all of Chris's appearances on wiki.starwarsminute.com. That'll take you to the Star Wars Minute wiki. It lists all of his episodes, so you can go there, get the audio, chop it up, make a thing.
A critical appraisal of Chris as a performer and as a person. Very fascinating.
Listen, the two best minutes of all of Star Wars minutes is Empire and the Star Killers, Space Killers,
Space Killers, and Blue Raspberry are two of the greatest hits. People do like those.
Yeah,
that's it. We'll never live up to that.
All downhill from
all right, guys. I'll talk to you when I talk to you.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us this week, and we'll see everybody else next week for a brand new episode of Star Wars Minute.